AlpenFury is the New-for-2025 launch coaster at Canada's Wonderland. It essentially is the spiritual successor to Volcano the Blast Coaster, as it shoots riders out of Wonder Mountain. Then riders are treated to a fast-paced coaster with 9 inversions. This is the best coaster Premier has ever made, and I will explain why in this review. In 1998, King's Dominion opened Volcano the Blast Coaster. This was an inverted coaster from Intamin that launched guests out of a volcano. This was an explosive element between the speed, power, and the occasional fire effect. The ride was an absolute fan favorite, but it closed in 2018 due to mechanical issues. Canada's Wonderland is one of the chain's sister parks. They currently feature 18 different roller coasters, tying them with Cedar Point for the third most of any park in the world. But going into this season, they had 3 notable gaps in their lineup. They were missing a high-thrill launch coaster, a smooth inversion-based coaster, and something with ejector air time. In 2023, the park released a survey with 3 possible new additions. The most notable of the 3 was called the Blast Coaster, which would be a launched wing coaster through Wonder Mountain. Fans of King's Dominion were understandably peeved that Volcano could be resurrected elsewhere in the chain, and fans of Canada's Wonderland meanwhile were super excited. Throughout 2024, the park prepped a spot for their new coaster. Construction markers were spotted all around Wonder Mountain. Then the park removed the Extreme Skyflyer Sky Coaster. And honestly, it's really impressive this was the only ride removed to accommodate this sizable coaster. AlpenFury was announced in August of 2024, and it would satisfy all those needs I mentioned. Unlike the original survey, it would not be a launched wing coaster. Now ironically, King's Dominion finally got their Volcano replacement in 2025. This would actually be a launched wing coaster in Rapterra, but that ride would not feature a volcano of any kind. AlpenFury is a multi-launch sit-down coaster from Premier Rides. This US-based company has manufactured several launched coasters throughout the years, but AlpenFury was arguably their largest project to date. This coaster would feature a record-breaking 9 inversions. This was the most inversions ever on a launch coaster, and it tied Steel Curtain at Kennywood for the most inversions of any coaster in North America. Upon opening, this ride forever reshaped the sightlines as you enter Canada's Wonderland. The inverted top hat is striking as it launches out of Wonder Mountain. Even better, a synchronized fire blast goes off every 15 minutes. You really need to be on the front side of the mountain to appreciate the effect, but it is stunning to see. The icy blue track looks great as well, and the inversion-heavy layout running alongside the International Street entry area adds so much kinetic energy to the pathways as trains whiz on past. I was stunned there was no netting added around the attraction, given its placement and the dynamic forces. Usually you'd see that around a ride like this. This coaster also sparked a rebrand to the International Festival section of the park. This area circles around the base of Wonder Mountain. It was transformed into AlpenFest, with several rides, including AlpenFury, having Swiss chalet architecture. This coaster is lightly themed to a fire and ice festival. Guests are invited aboard a sled that burrows into Wonder Mountain to discover a powerful and mystical force. Most of the layout has no theming, which honestly is fine for a ride like this, but the main launch tunnel and station do look nice. The queue line is atrocious though. The start of the queue has thematic posters, but a majority of the wait is outdoors. The standby queue is a claustrophobic set of switchbacks. These originally opened with no shade at all, but some structures were thankfully added over the past week. There is no shade in the stairs leading up to the station, which is still a major issue. This is where Fastlane and single rider users will spend a majority of their wait. It is particularly a big problem for those using single rider because of how slowly that queue moves. I really hope shade structures are added in the future. The main concern when this coaster was announced was its capacity. It is not great, especially for a park as busy as Wonderland. The ride operates with 2 trains, and each train seats just 18 riders, as the trains are comprised of 3 cars with 3 rows of 2. Thus far, those capacity issues have materialized. The coaster's been averaging a 2 to 2.5 hour wait open to close most days. I imagine it'll decrease somewhat in the future once the initial newness wears off, but I anticipate it'll still spike to 2 hours several days and settle into a 60 to 90 minute wait daily given its popularity and throughput. There are some ways to avoid the longest waits. 1. Arrive at least 45 to 60 minutes before opening and head straight to this coaster. Most people will rope drop this ride, so it has been getting a full queue right at opening, hence why you need to arrive so early. The biggest con with this approach is that the coaster has been having some delayed openings due to technical issues, so you may end up waiting a bit longer than you anticipated. On that note, this coaster has had reasonably good uptime for a new launch coaster. Outside those delayed openings, most breakdowns are resolved in 15 to 20 minutes. The only lengthy stretch of downtime I personally witnessed was after a major rainstorm, as the ride kept unfaulting for the remainder of the night. 2. Hop in the queue right when the line closes. This will still be a lengthy wait, but the sun will be down and it will move faster. At this point, the standby queue should move faster because there will be no more fast lane users being admitted. In the future, I imagine this queue will stay open until park close, but for 2025, at least as of this recording, the ride has been closing as early as 1 hour before park close. The park is at least transparent about this, as there will be a sign in front of the entrance stating when the line will close for the day. 3. Utilize the single rider line, if it's reasonable. This was a great option at park open, as most people defaulted to the standby wait, but its usefulness dwindled by the afternoon. I heard a full staircase was taking roughly 90 minutes because only 1 or 2 riders were being taken per cycle due to the nature of a single rider line. 4. Use Fast Lane. This perk is available as a single ride with some season passes. Alternatively, you can purchase a single shot or an all-day option. If the Fast Lane queue is full, it takes roughly 1 hour to get through it. In my 2 visits, the Fast Lane queue took about 45 minutes on average. Still long, but way better than the standby queue. Along with the popularity and low riders per cycle, this ride often stacks. The issue seemed to be the loose article system causing a delay for guests reaching the air gates. At the end of the queue, the grouper admits up to 6 people from Fast Lane. Then up to 12 people are pulled from the standby. If there are any extra seats, guests are pulled from the single rider line. These 18 people then enter a single file line. On the right side is a loose article bin. Like Yukon Striker, this coaster uses a moving bin system. It is a visually cool system and on paper, it should work. However, there are 2 cons with the setup. 1. They can only load 1 train at a time, meaning they're always rushing to get that next group up there. 2. The single file lane leading to the bin makes it so people have to take turns storing things one at a time, and most people will have to store things. Due to this ride's location, it has a fairly strict loose article policy. Guests are asked to remove everything from their pockets. Some crew members allowed items to stay in zippered pockets, but others asked for everything to be removed, no exceptions. Communicating this policy before guests reach the end of the queue would help mightily, so people could be prepared. That way, they can quickly advance to the grouper. Because right now, the loose article delay is causing a delay to how quickly the grouper can get people to the air gates, leading to a delay in the loading process. Now to be honest, I would not be surprised if this coaster eventually gets metal detectors. Several elements pass directly over the midway, and since there's no netting beneath these elements, it is possible an unsecured item could come loose and strike a guest down below. Alternatively, the park could add some netting. It's not a pretty solution, but it may cost less in the long run than bad PR from an item potentially coming loose, or metal detectors because those require long-term staffing. After putting your belongings in the bin, a grouper will assign you a row. Since the exact number of people to fill the next train are admitted onto the platform, you cannot wait for a specific row. Seating is assigned, typically front to back. Some groupers were willing to honor row requests for empty rows, but others were not. As a result, you essentially had to have Fast Lane to even have a chance to get the front row. Even as someone who had Fast Lane, I really didn't think that was fair to people in standby given how long they waited. If they are going to strictly assign front to back forever, maybe the grouper can switch train to train whether they start pulling people from the standby or fast lane. I was able to get the front row once, and it was a cool experience, but I thought the forces were slightly better in the back car. That being said, I thought most elements felt similar across the train, so the exact row you got didn't matter much from a force perspective in my opinion. It did matter from a comfort perspective though. The back rows of each car have way less legroom. Row 3, 6, and 9 have a steel plate behind your legs. This means you cannot tuck your feet underneath the seat to get some extra space. And since the crew will push the restraint down firmly, it is extremely tight in those rows. When I heard the Premier trains were being modified for AlpenFury, I was hoping these plates and shin guards would be removed. They were not. The big change was the removal of the toe guard. This makes the trains marginally easier to enter and exit, but they are still way more awkward than trains from other manufacturers. You'll still feel like a contortionist maneuvering through these trains. The toe guard removal did cause the coaster to have a moving platform, so while it's faster for the riders to board, the savings were lost with the added dispatch time of that platform moving out of place. The restraints are similar to Premier's other new launch coasters. They consist of a lap bar and shin guard combination. The lap bar itself is fine. I hate the shin guards though. Whereas other manufacturers have their shin guards contour around your legs, the ones here are flat wedges that will be pressed firmly into your legs. In most rows, you can at least get some relief tucking your feet back underneath the seat, but you cannot do that in the back rows due to that metal plate, hence why I really do not like those rows. One noteworthy change though is the lack of seatbelts and comfort collars. This gives riders a slightly more freeing experience, and makes it easier for the crew to check restraints. From experience, the crew could quickly check the train once everyone was finally situated, because they only had one restraint to check, and it could be done in a single pass. Once secure, you turn right out of the station. Without pausing, you roll onto the LSMs, and they engage, propelling you forwards. While the top speed here is modest, it is decently punchy. You then have a twisted dive underneath Wonder Mountain. This looked pretty unassuming off-ride, but it was surprisingly fantastic. The hump into it offered a decent ejector pop in front. Then, it was even better in the back, offering good ejector with some laterals on the dive. You then hit launch 2, which is incredible. There is not much track here, so this launch is mighty powerful. It is the strongest launch I've ever felt on a Premier. You'll be thrown back into your seat, and the sense of speed here is unreal. Even better, the launch continues on the incline into the following element, resulting in extreme positive Gs. I've seen some force readings approaching 5 Gs here, and I believe it. On top of that raw power, you have an impressive sense of speed. You hit 71 miles per hour, or 115 kilometers per hour anyway, but it's enhanced by being in a claustrophobic cave with some rockwork and blue lighting effects. Next is the Fire Serpent roll, which is a uniquely profiled inverted top hat. For one, it is ultra disorienting due to all the directional changes. You rotate 180 degrees on the ascent, then you rotate close to 270 degrees on the descent. Then it also offers a smorgasbord of forces. The ascent offers some weird ejector airtime in the front car. Since you experience that force at an angle, you don't quite lift out your seat in a traditional way, but you'll feel the force trying to manipulate your body. At the top, you are banked sideways. The front only gets a smidge of hang time since they move through it so quickly, but you get solid hang time in that rear car. And since you're angled towards Wonder Mountain, you get a marvelous view if that fire blast goes off on one of your rides. Then, there's a twisting vertical plunge. This is the main reason I prefer this coaster ever so slightly in the back car. You get nice floater airtime in that rear row, paired with incredible laterals. And as a bonus, you get a terrifying head chopper plunging beneath Guardian's lift hill. And this will not be the last head chopper in this ride either. The pullout also offers good positive Gs as well. Next is a speed bank. This is the one element on the ride that's a dud in my opinion. It is fast, but it's pretty forceless. It feels similar to that first element on Leviathan's return run. I would have preferred something offering airtime, but the visuals are at least cool as you bank through some barrel rolls. AlpenFury has a return to form with a stall. This offers decent hang time. It is good, but I think the stalls in RMCs are a bit better because you tend to move through them slower, so you have more time to take in the hang time, but I still appreciate the sheer size and speed in this one. Next is the far turnaround, which is known as the Skyflyer loop. This looks like the treble clef on Fury 325, except the X has been modified into a barrel roll down drop. The entry has another great head chopper, then the curved rise upwards offers strong positive Gs. Then, you have that barrel roll. The entry into it offers a solid ejector pop while inverted. It is a pretty weird sensation, then you get nice laterals as you twist back down to ground level. Next is the Ice Winder roll, which is a hybrid between a banana roll and two stretched out barrel rolls. The first inversion offers a great pop of inverted ejector airtime. It is the strongest negative G moment on the ride in my opinion. Then the exit feels like another barrel roll down drop. It once again offers great laterals, paired with an okay pop of airtime this time around. The pullout has another wonderful near miss with some supports. Then there are back-to-back barrel rolls. The first offers very strong laterals as you whip on through it. Then if you're in front, you'll get some float with that as well. At the same time, you get a really neat visual as you wind around that speed bank from earlier in the ride. The second roll is yet another barrel roll down drop, and it is a very whippy moment, offering good laterals. Then those in the back car get a little float as they are pulled downwards. It also winds around the speed bank. These near misses, combined with the rapid fire inversions, is super dizzying. You then cruise over a bunny hill. This offers nice ejector airtime for all, particularly once the coaster is fully warmed up. This hill is a well-placed break from the stretch of inversions. Then, you have your ninth and final inversion, a 0G roll over Vortex. This is the ride's floatiest inversion, as you gracefully levitate on through it. At the same time, you are treated to good laterals on the spin. Next is a bunny hill curved towards the brake run. This offers decent floater airtime across the train. But rather than dropping back down to ground level, this is followed by a tiny hump. This offers a little pop of air, but that's it. You then hit the brakes, ending this action-packed coaster. You then park in the station and disembark, ending the 3,281 foot or 1,000 meter long coaster. That has really good length for a launch coaster. You have nearly 50 seconds of prime ride time, without the use of switch tracks or shuttle elements. In terms of pacing, AlpenFury is fabulous. Outside that one speed bank, every single element hits. You haul through the layout. You have the breakneck pacing of an RMC, except this ride is much more inversion focused, which makes it ultra disorienting. Most riders will need to experience this coaster multiple times to process what exactly happened. I know some were apprehensive of all the barrel rolls on the return run when this coaster was announced, but I'm fine with the coaster repeating an element if it's great. For example, you don't see many people complaining about a series of bunny hills. But what Premier did here was brilliant. The barrel rolls all feel distinctly different from each other, how they apply negative and lateral Gs. Then this coaster is glass smooth, which should be no surprise if you've ridden any of Premier's recent coasters. I think they are on par with the new generation Vekoma coasters in this department. So what would I rate AlpenFury? I would give this coaster a 9 out of 10. This is an excellent coaster. It is a forceful and frenetic layout. The launches are great, particularly that second one through the mountain. Honestly, that second launch may be one of my favorite rolling launches ever. Then all 9 inversions that follow are fantastic. I think that inverted top hat stands out most between its size and diversity, but I also love everything on the return run. I especially like how so many of the inversions incorporate airtime, particularly the ones with ejector airtime. That is such a weird sensation to get while upside down. I can't quite give this coaster a perfect score though, because the trains, while passable, are not as strong as those offered by other manufacturers. They are fine in most rows, but I find the experience a bit cramped and uncomfortable if I'm assigned row 3, 6, or 9. Outside of those trains and that speed bank, this is a near perfect ride. This is easily one of the best coasters to open in 2025, and I imagine it'll become the new favorite coaster for many enthusiasts visiting Canada's Wonderland, especially for those who love intensity. I think I might still prefer Leviathan at this park, but it is very close. But I can definitely say this ride experience complements everything this park has well. This gave them the thrilling multi-launch, smooth inversion-based, and ejector airtime-filled coaster they needed. I just wish the capacity were better. It simply does not seem sufficient for a signature ride at a park this busy. You'll have to wait a very long time for this coaster in the short term, and likely long term as well. But I have very little qualms with the coaster experience itself. And this is the best coaster Premier has ever made. I really hope they continue to get more business. They have shown they can make a great layout if given a big budget. Those are my thoughts on AlpenFury at Canada's Wonderland. Do you agree it's Premier's best coaster? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.